Okay guys, we're going to show you some pictures of mixed media.
Okay, so this is our first picture of mixed media. Angela sent me this picture of a mixed media heart, which is so cool and inspiring. If you see my little mouse over here, you can see that it looks like it's made on some sort of paper or wood surface. But this artist used what look like to be lids of different bottles and containers, and they just flip them upside down, and then they use paint to paint the insides of the containers, as well as these letters that are in the background. I think if you can see those, they have some letters that look like they're kind of popping off the page in the background. So they've at least used 4 different materials. So they have their paper in the background, they have the popping up letters, they have the container lids, and then they have paint. So since they use all this different stuff and put it all together in one artwork, this is mixed media artwork.
And you guys could make something like this at home. If you have bottle caps from water bottles or old food container caps, you can paint them, color them, and you could make different shapes too. Like this is a heart, but you could make a star or a circle. You can even, if you don't have many caps, you can use little pieces of paper and roll them up.
Cool idea. Okay, so next, this is another mixed media artist, and it looks like here she created a bird's nest. You can see the nest and then some little eggs in the middle, and it looks like she used paint to make the eggs, and then in the background she used something really interesting to make the nest. She used sheet music, so the music that like musicians and piano and guitar players use and they look at while they're playing their instruments. It looks like this artist cut up those materials and glued them all on with her painted eggs. So that's another example of mixed media. Here's a close-up view of it. So look, you can even see the music notes she used. Really cool idea. This is one more artist who's kind of a mixed media artist, and she creates pictures using fabric and she makes them into big quilts. So you can see there she is, and she's standing in front of her big quilt. Here's a picture of one of her quilts. So this lady and this little girl are together, and you can see up close how she used all these different pieces of fabric. Every different color is a little piece of fabric that she attached together with thread. So this is another kind of different example of mixed media. So you could use, paper or markers or paints to create pictures, but you can also piece together little materials like fabric to create artwork as well. So that's all we have in our little art lesson, but those are just some examples from great artists in the past and today who made some cool mixed media work. So we're gonna come back over here now and let's get started with the mixed media that we're gonna create today. So today we're gonna make a seahorse using paper, markers, glue, and the magic special surprise material, a coffee filter, which is put in a coffee pot, and like your mom or dad might put some coffee in there and make a pot of coffee, but guess what? We're gonna use it for art today. Super exciting, I know. So let's see. So first, you're gonna need your coffee filters. So you should have some of those. You're gonna need some construction paper. I think Angela was gonna use orange. I'm gonna use green. You're gonna need scissors. We have big scissors because that's all I have, but you should have some safety scissors. Remember to always be really safe. Watch where you're cutting when you're using your scissors and make sure your fingers are out of the way. Let's see, we need glue sticks, and we could probably use our pencils to get started and trace some things out. So I'm gonna move these out of the way for now. So here's our pencils, and then everybody should have a seahorse template with them. So the first step is gonna be to draw our seahorse. So you can either draw your own seahorse, maybe if you're like an older kid and you got some really good art skills, you wanna show them off, that's awesome if you're up to the challenge for drawing your own seahorse. Or if you're kinda like, I don't know how to begin to draw a seahorse, the template is perfect. So you can just cut that out using your scissors. Angela, do you want to draw your own seahorse today, or are you thinking you want to use the template?
I think I'll try the template.
Okay, so I'll model how to maybe draw a seahorse if you want to try that, and Angela will show you how to cut out the template.
Sure. Just cut it out? Or
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so you're gonna cut it, you're gonna wanna cut out your template along the black lines, and it's all right if it's not perfect. And then you're gonna put it on your paper and trace it. And so I'll try to draw a seahorse body.
And you can always take your template and then draw details on it too. So just because you're using a template, you'll be able to make something that's definitely your own.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I know that seahorses, they kind of have like a curvy back, but they also have a spiral tail. So I'm gonna start out with a spirally tail. I'm just gonna draw a spiral near the bottom of my paper. I'm gonna flip it around so I can see it a little bit better. And I know that they kind of have a curve to come up here. So far I just kind of have a little spiral at the bottom of my paper that comes up to a curve. And you make a back and kind of a long oval head. And I know that seahorses kind of have bellies that stick out a little bit. So I'm gonna make kind of a round belly on my seahorse. And then I'm gonna connect that down to the tail. Oh yeah, and I was gonna add on a little fin on the back. It's called the dorsal fin. I looked that up before this. So I'm pretty happy with my seahorse. This is what it looks like. I think I wanna make the head a little bit wider though. So I'm gonna add a line down here. So you can see I had my original line and then I added one down there. So then I'm gonna erase my original line. And this is just an example of like, sometimes your art doesn't turn out exactly how you want it. And so you just try to like make little changes and adjustments and just be nice to yourself and patient with yourself and just kind of go by what happens and what you're creating and see the good things about it that you like. So this is my seahorse. It's a little funky, but I'm gonna work with it.
And if you were cutting out the template and want to use this seahorse, this is what it will look like when you're done cutting it out.
Cool.
Now, Madeline, should we trace our template?
Yeah, go ahead and trace. Here's some pencils.
Thank you. So when you trace your template, you can have your seahorse facing this way, or you could easily flip it over and have it face that way.
Ooh.
So whatever you want to do. I think I'll try it the first way. So what should we do after we've traced our seahorse, Madeline?
Yeah, so if you've already traced your seahorse or you've drawn a seahorse like me, you need to grab your scissors again and then go ahead and cut out your seahorse. So you actually have the option, if you want to cut it out, you can cut it out. If you want to just leave it on the paper and add to what's on the paper and maybe make a background later, you could do that too. I think I'm going to cut out my seahorse because that's kind of how I want to do it, but you don't have to cut it out. You can make it either way.
So if you don't want to cut it out, you could draw like bubbles, you could draw some underwater things like other fish or just things from the sea.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
Okay, and it would probably look like this if you traced the template. And from there you can decide if you also want to cut it out or keep it with the whole piece of paper. So I think I'll keep it with the whole piece of paper since you're cutting it out.
Okay.
And then we'll see how each can turn out.
Yeah, I love that idea.
And if you want to do it again later, you can do it a different way. So as long as you keep your template or you want to draw your own seahorse, you can.
Just gonna keep on cutting mine. Almost done.
So again, for this project, you'll just need some paper, your template if you want, a pencil, maybe some markers, glue, and we have coffee filters.
Yes.
And if you don't have coffee filters, you could even use newspaper or other paper or even tissue paper, whatever you have, because mixed media is, the point of it is just bringing in different materials to make something cool.
Yeah. Sounds good. All right, I'm finished. So here's my seahorse, and I just want to point out something really quick. So I'm gonna come close to the camera. So if you can see, there's like a pencil line right here. I think it's a little blurry, but there's some pencil lines on this side that I cut on. So I don't want to see those pencil lines when I'm done. So all I'm going to do is flip it over, and there are no pencil lines on this side.
What a good idea, Madeline.
Oh, thanks. Okay, so the next step is to just start decorating your seahorse body. You can make patterns, so like repeating shapes and lines. You could even draw a picture on your seahorse. You could give your seahorse eyes and a mouth and I don't know, do seahorse have ears? Maybe little fins on their head or on their body. So yeah, just be creative, make whatever you want, and we'll just take a few minutes to get started drawing and decorating our seahorses.
Great.
I'm gonna check our timer.
Sure. So I can just take a marker and have at it, or should I do the coffee filter first?
Oh, go ahead and just take your marker. Yeah, Angela, so go ahead and just draw with your markers for a little bit, and we'll get started on the coffee filters next. That'll be our next step.
Great.
I'm gonna start with blue, I think. So I'm just drawing a really simple design. I'm just drawing a lot of little lines on my seahorse. So if you can see, these marks are just all really short lines, and I'm just making rows and rows of them.
And I started with just bringing out my border of my seahorse so you can see the body better on my full piece of paper.
I'm gonna switch it up and use some purple.
Now that I've got my outline, I've just been making a little bit of a pattern with my seahorse.
That looks really cool. Okay, so just keep decorating your seahorse, and we'll keep going, and next we'll see how they turn out. Get ready for our next step.